はようございます。こんばんは、あつしです。サシコライブ、今日はまたすぐ噛んだ。今日は英語でちょっとやろうと思ってます。英語中心になると思います。少々したいこともあって、英語が中心になる予定です。お許しください。Alright, this is the Sashiko Live Streaming, and this is Atsushi. I will do the live streaming mainly in English today. Mainly, I might switch the language from time to time, but mainly it's gonna be in English. Just a second. At some point, I will have a guest to check the connection. I plan to have some conversation next week around the same time on Instagram. So I would like to check how it's going to be like next week as well. So today is the Sashiko Live, mainly in English, plus some test connections. All right. Until that. So if there's a topic request, if there's any request for the topic to talk about Sashiko or Japanese culture, please let me know. I will do my best to talk about it. For the technique, please check my YouTube videos. This is not the workshop or lecture for that. So if you could watch the YouTube that I have already tutorials, that'd be great. ちょっと今日は間違えた。日本語、本当最近日本語の配信もしてなくて申し訳ないんですけど、今日は少し英語に中心でテストもやろうと思ってます。よろしくお願いします。So I do have a plan to go to Japan next May 2022 next May 2022. It is the part of the Japan tour organized by the One Travel Agency. We decided to offer that with hoping the international travel will be a little bit easier to offer. Of course, there are a lot of hopes that we have to carry, but at the same time, this is something we shouldn't really decide or give up at this moment. So we will talk about, since we decided to offer with hoping that everything will be fine, we decided to have the live streaming talking about what is the tour about. Why do we offer that tour? What is the difference between the other tours? I mean, there are a lot of tours to go to Japan, but I would like to share why it is offered by her, the company Thimble Travel, and Thimble Tour, and then why it is offered by, why it is accompanied by me to share what Sashiko is. So that's the next week. That's the week from now on October 15th, Friday night. Around this time, I will do that. Probably it's going to be like a 1 hour session. And today, I hope she's going to come here to check the connection, how it's going to be like. So that's why today's live streaming is mainly in English. I know I'm stitching some other completely different pattern, but I sometimes do stitch the other patterns based on the request. My whole project is about stitching the Asanoho patterns for 100 meter, which I am working on it. At the same time, there's one event relating to this pattern, so I am working on this right now. It's really interesting to, how can I say, I receive many requests, I think because Sashiko became a very popular. Sometimes I receive a question or request which is not related to Sashiko at all, and I try to be as honest as I can, and I try to offer whatever I can, which might not be what they want, but I try to offer that. Sometimes they back off because they need somebody who can say what they want to hear. But at the same time, there are somebody who are willing to change their contents based on what I say. And if I meet those people who can be sort of flexible, I have a lot of things to learn as well. And I'm kind of thinking, like, what is Sashiko anyway? So the definition itself is kind of fragile. Of course, we have to have the definition to go forward. We have to have something. At the same time, that the definition itself is not so strong because it's not organized. Well, not organized. It's not structured well yet. So Sashiko is a form of stitching, but at the same time, I don't think that's the only criteria or definition that we have to go through. It's more than that. And the whole purpose of this account is for that. What is more than that? I cannot explain that in one word or one sentence, therefore I keep sharing those stories. It can be something more or less, probably. less materialistic, more conceptual. It is extremely difficult to, I think, verbalize, but somebody gotta do it. So I will have to, next week, this coming weekend, and next week, I will have a lot of time to think about. I got a kind of request to make a video about sustainability. And, I think it's a very important topic to consider. And that's today's post as well, sustainability. Sustainability is very, I don't want to say cool word, but it's a nice word to say that you care. We care. Like, I don't care about sustainability is not a good sentence to be sort of educated person. I mean, we have to really care about sustainability, of course. We live in the ecosystem and we have to really worry about the sustainability toward the future. At the same time, the definition of the sustainability is quite vague, as long as I understand. Mainly Western culture, as long as I know, we talk about materialistic concept of sustainability. So somebody wrote, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, but there was a comment that sustainability is sort of the concept of have less and recycle or repurpose more. And that is very true. Like, we are living on the world of mass consumption, so we can contribute to the sustainability by using less, by purchasing less, by recycling, upcycling, reusing instead of replacing or wasting and stuff like that. I think that's more like the standard of sustainability. There's nothing wrong with that, and I completely agree with it. We have, we can be responsible. We like to be responsible for our choices to consume less, At the same time, that's the materialistic sustainability, and when we focus on the materialistic too much, there might be people or culture or story other side of that materialistic who may be crying because of the choice we make. And that's something I really have to consider or even acknowledge. Is my choice good for pretty much everybody? In Japanese, there is the word sampo yoshi, which means that it's like a principle of business in Japan. It has to be good for the customer, and it has to be good for the seller, the merchant, and also it has to be good for the society or community. So the good business has to satisfy those three good: customer, merchant, like buyer, seller, and then the community. If one of those are missing, then the business is not gonna go sustainable or good, for that matter. And I feel the same way to the sustainability as well. And when it comes to Sashiko, it is getting popular as the sustainable practice by stitching. Of course, it is true because we stitch. We do not purchase a lot of fabric or clothes and then we use the same fabric over and over. That's the principle of Sashiko. But by somebody saying that we can use whatever we want, stitching itself is good enough to appreciate the culture, then those cultural contents may be lost by saying whatever. There are a lot of reasons and there are a lot of people behind those stories. There are a lot of people and there are a lot of stories behind the culture or even the practice of Sashiko. Yet if they say, like the simple example is like there are a lot of questions, discussion, what is the best what is the best thread for Sashiko? And I share a lot of videos that thread matters. Thread is one of the most important criteria to make Sashiko good and also functional. But sometimes there's strong opinion that it doesn't matter. The thread doesn't matter. You can use any thread, any fabric to enjoy Sashiko. It is very true. It is true that you can use any thread, but at the same time, by saying whatever is fine, they are not trying to acknowledge difference, or they're not trying to listen to the other side of the story. If they know the difference, if they can feel the difference, then decided to use the other materials, that's a different story. But they are probably responsible for sharing the whole stories instead of saying whatever is good. So that's the kind of the sustainable practice. I don't want the cultural sustainability sacrificed by us being the kind of superficial sustainable. I mean, reducing the plastic waste is a great idea. At the same time, using whatever thread they have is also good, but at the same time, if they are gonna call it to Sashiko or borrow, then I don't want them to destroy the culture as well. And their choice may be repainting the culture, and that's something I really would like to avoid. And I can do it because I can speak English, because I can leave some of the stories in English. But what if those stories are not translated well to the major language, such as English here? Then it's a little bit of scary possible outcome. I'm not saying it's going to happen for sure, but it could be kind of scary. So yeah, that's the sustainability that I have to think about next week. I don't know what is sustainability for you, I believe that I'm not asking too much. I just want you to realize or acknowledge the difference. Whatever is fine is a one true statement because that's the choice of their freedom. I cannot argue more than I cannot argue more if they talk about a personal choice. There's nothing I can do about it. At the same time, if they use the foreign word or foreign practice, then they are responsible of trying to understand the whole picture. And I don't think that's too much to ask. So that's the whole reason that I'm doing Sashiko here, and sharing the unedited version of Sashiko stitching so you can learn and watch. I mean, you can watch and learn. By the way, can you hear me? Oops, I've been talking, but I did not check about the... I believe it's on. Oh, thank you for sharing. Keep on telling and showing us. Sorry. Thank you for the comment. That's very helpful. I got a little bit freaked out. Thank you. Keep on telling and showing us. I'm glad that we have a common language so that I can. Thank you. It's so interesting that I can speak. I mean, I was born in Japan. I never got out of the Japan until the age of 19. So until the high school, I was not even thinking about coming to the U.S. Well, I wanted to go somewhere. I always wanted to go somewhere. こんばんは。いつでも入れるときやりましょう。I always wanted to go somewhere to evacuate, to escape from Sashiko, but I did not know what and where. So I decided to come to the US after not passing one of the good university in Japan. So it is really interesting to see that the skill or language that I got because I wanted to get out from this spiral of Sashiko is now helping me to talk about Sashiko. Alright, so this is the Sashiko live streaming that I do. I show the unedited version of Sashiko stitching while talking about Sashiko. And today I will talk about it in English. I talk mainly in English. And next week, around the same time, I will offer the live streaming with the guest, Miss Koshiki, to talk about the Japan tour we will have in next year, May 2022. We decided to offer that. We decided not to cancel it for the COVID. We decided to keep hoping about that. So I would like to share why we offer that. What is the difference between the other textile tour to Japan and our Sashiko tour, and what we can do and stuff like that. Hello, this is Sashiko Live Streaming. This is Atsushi, and I will mainly speak in English today, but no sound yet. I had to restart it because it was No, I lost the audio. How about now? Can you hear me or not? Or bad? Did that good or bad? すいません。日本語、サシコライブ第2弾なんですけど、音切れてしまいましてですね、音が入ってなかったっぽくて、音聞こえます？すごく大事なこと言ったんですけど、切れちゃった。聞こえる？ Yes, yes, perfect. Whew. I don't know what was that going on. Okay, thank you. So today's the Sashiko. I had a little bit of testing with the Miss Koshiki-san about the Japan tour next year, 2022 in May, and I will do the official chatting with her next week, next Friday around the same time. And on top of that, I'm gonna do the Sashiko stitching here today. And I don't know why it did not connect it. So, Shinobu-san, ごめんなさい. How about now? Can you hear? I don't know what's going on though. I don't know why it didn't go well. Please let me know if you lost the audio because that's not my intention. I barely do the live streaming without talking. Yeah, I don't really just stitch. Either I watch the TV, I watch the Netflix, I watch what else do I watch? YouTube, I listen to something. So if you hear nothing from my live streaming, that means that I lost the audio. So let me know if that's the case. If you are the graduate of my workshop, you know me that I cannot stop talking. I don't shut up until, even if they say that please be quiet, I don't shut up. So I just can't do Sashiko stitching anymore. After so many years, I have to have at least music to do it. Yeah. Okay. しのぶさんごめんなさいでした。また後から話します。What did I talk and what did I not talk? I don't know how. Well, we had an audio until the collaboration streaming, live streaming. So something after that, something happened. So I have to come back. I have to remember what I was talking about. Let's see what I was talking about. I was talking something about in Japanese that I don't like. I mean, not that I don't like this pattern, but I'm not. It's rare that I stitch this pattern, so. But I have to do it. Can you tell me what type of thickness of thread you're using, please? We use very specific thread for Sashiko, so the thickness is not it's not the numbers, it's the Sashiko thread developed for the Sashiko. Thread really matters. The same thickness doesn't really solve the point. It has to be very specific if you are planning to do Sashiko. So I sell those thread online, upcyclestitches.com, or from my profile you can find the link to this thread. And that's the thread. That's the only. Well, I started offering some substitute, the possible substitution. But this, for the thread wise, this is the Sashiko thread that we use. It's a really good thread. しのぶさん、さっきごめんなさい。さっきごめんなさいでした。音声消えちゃって。結構いろんなこと言ってたんですけど、すいませんでした。Please watch the video on YouTube. There's a video on YouTube that what is the difference? What is the difference between the Sashiko thread and non-Sashiko thread? Or probably there is a video. I probably made a video. Why does Sashiko thread matter? And I'm not saying like because there are reasons. There are reasons to use this thread on top of the quality and thickness. And if they understand the difference, and then if they decide to not to use it, that's perfectly fine. But whatever is not good. Some people say whatever is good, but whatever is not good. It's like cheese for that. Like cheese, I love cheese, but there are a lot of different kind of cheese, and every cheese is good for one specific purpose, right? I used to drink a lot. I don't drink anymore, but I used to drink a lot, and then I loved the blue cheese. For the buffalo wing, for the chicken wings, the blue cheese dressing is the best dipping sauce. But you don't want to have the blue cheese only on the pizza. I don't. At least I don't. Well, it might be good, but there's a difference between cheese, and there are reasons why it is different, and there's a purpose. There's the most appropriate place to use it. Sashiko thread is the same. Like thread is like that too. You can make pizza with any kind of cheese, of course. You can make any kind of pizza with any kind of cheese, but there are the appropriate cheese like mozzarella or sharp cheddar, not cheddar, sharp E. They sell even pizza mix. And it's of course, the preference. After all, it's all about preference. But there are reasons, stories behind it. So I want them to enjoy everything, experience everything, and then enjoy it. I hope this makes sense. I mean, it's not cheese. The thread is not equal to the cheese, but that's how I feel about the. Not a thread, yes, it's thread. For that, sometimes people ask me how can they make stitches like mine. Of course, technique is great, experience is of course important, but usually the thread will help that issues. I mean, we're not talking about rocket science, it's just stitching, so if there's any significant difference, it's probably what you use instead of how you do it. Again, it's just stitching, so there's nothing specific much. So many people probably will have a better result by using the specific thread, specific needle, specific tools. And it's probably a good investment for the time you spend, the amount of time you spend. That audio is a little bit of issues for the next week. It didn't happen before, so. Well. technically speaking, YouTube Live is probably easier for me to offer, but at the same time, it is probably the Instagram followers that I would like to communicate that message to. So I might do it on the YouTube as well. At the same time, it might be just easier for us to have the live streaming, talk about it on Instagram. All of the archives will be available on YouTube later on, so don't worry about for missing. But that'd be great if you could come to the live streaming on the next Friday at the same time. I will not show you stitching, but we will talk about Sashiko a lot. The only challenge is to wish and to hope that everything will be okay by that time. And we just don't know yet. But we determined that we will not cancel it for now. Yeah, everything changed. Oops. よっこいしょよいしょっと。I saw the comment, not a comment, I saw the post on my friend, not a friend, I don't know if I can call him a friend, but there's a person, quilter, that I met in the QuiltCon 2020, 2 years ago, that I asked him to take a photo with me. He wrote a very interesting post that, why quilting is so expensive. And he estimated the hourly price to make a quilt for like $30 per hour. That's a dream. That's a dream. Like, who would buy? Well, that's probably how we have to price it somehow. $3,000 to $5,000 denim stitching, whole stitched. Yep, that's see, that's kind of difficult. But at the same time, we should not give up that. We should keep trying to do that. So it is very true that we should keep trying. There are a lot of people who wish to practice this, so let's see how the world is going to change. But for anybody who are willing to be like a professional in Sashiko, if your goal is to make money, probably that's not a good choice. If you like it and if you want to continue it, that's perfectly fine. That's great choice. But if your goal is to be famous and make money, Sashiko might not be the best choice. Hand stitching, hand. It's not a machine, so no matter how fast you can stitch, you have to spend a lot of time. And I used to do it. I've been there, I've done that. If I have a purpose for the moment I stitch, it's gonna be very painful eventually. I don't think about any of those compensation when I stitch. That's why I kind of can't keep doing it. And it's really not good for that. But that's one of the biggest challenge that Sashiko has to go through. if they are just writing on Sashiko as the trend, part of the trend, if they have something else completely, and then if they have a plan to move on when the trend is over, then that's not a bad choice. But if one decided to be if they decided to spend everything on Sashiko, as much as I would like to be a help, it is a very scary choice. You may wonder, why then are you doing it? Well, because I tried to escape from it as much as I can, but I couldn't. And I don't... Well, let me put it this way. If I have to worry about tomorrow's bread, I wouldn't be stitching. I don't have to worry about it that much. Of course, that's an important perspective to think about, but I have a stable... Well, I have a great understanding for my wife. There we go. That's probably the best way to put it. But yeah, I'm not discouraging anything. If that's a great choice, and I'm here to help them. But I want to enjoy it, not to be stressed out by doing Sashiko. Just this. Just a second, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, that's good. Sorry, I usually take a note what I talked about and when, so I can modify this live streaming later, edit this live streaming later easily, but I completely forgot about it for the second live streaming, so I'm just doing it right now. And I completely forgot what I was talking about. What was I talking about? Oh, so meditation. This is something I am planning to write a post soon or later, but Sashiko is very much a meditative stitching, but the status of meditation, the status of meditating, calming, is just the byproduct of stitching. The reason I started talking about that is the kind of the purpose oriented. So if you stitch for something, there's nothing wrong stitching. There's nothing wrong in stitching for some specific purpose. If you want to make something, it's perfectly great to stitch that for that. But at the same time, it's not the whole picture of Sashiko, in my understanding. If one decided to stitch to meditate, that Sashiko already have the purpose in it. The purpose of that meditative stitch is to meditate. Then it loses a little bit of sense by having the purpose. If one can stitch without any purpose, then they can reach to another layer of meditation or calmness. Well, that's what I call mindfulness. That mindfulness is probably different from the English mindfulness. But we live in the world where we have to have the purpose. We have to have the purpose. We have to have the goal. Without the goal, we cannot have any conversations especially if it's in the business or if it's in the work, you must to have a goal in every step, like for the day, for the week, for the month, for the year, for the career. Everything is goal oriented, and I've been there, I've done that, and I'm still living there too. But sometimes, but Sashiko's whole picture cannot be explained just having the goal. For today, I'm stitching for the one specific purpose, but I was stitching the Asanoha patterns without any purpose. And that's another my social experiment to see if I can do stitching without any purpose for that long time. If I can spend, let's say, hundreds or thousands of hours for nothing. And that's kind of scary, saying that I spend so much time for nothing. But at the same time, when we try to have the purpose, we give up the pureness of doing it. So that might be a little bit of I don't know how to explain that, but I think that's one of the core of Sashiko. If you don't mind me asking, what type of needle and thread do you use? We do have a very specific needle and thread. We don't use other commercial brand, or we don't represent any other. We use what we make, so. And they're available. We only sell what we use, and everything is available on my website, on our website, upcyclestitches.com, upcyclestitches.com, and that's available from my profile. And you can, we ship worldwide, so you can get it from anywhere, pretty much, as long as they make a shipment. So thread thread is important, thimble is important, but the thread does matter, so thread is the most important thing. And the needle is of course important, but if the budget is limited, I would consider the thread first, and then needle, thimble. Fabric can be the last. Of course, it's very important to have a good fabric, but at the same time, the priority is not that high. But probably the needle might be the one who they come back the most. Sometimes I get the extremely positive complaining. It doesn't make sense probably, but it's positive, but it's kind of complaining that they complain that they cannot use the other needles because of this. So how could you do that? And that's the compliment. So I take it as the compliment, but they're kind of happily complaining. So, but yeah, we have a very specific tools, specific supplies based on our experience. We have to, not have to, but I would like to continue that industries in Japan as well. Since we've been doing this for a long time, of course there are those wisdoms in what we use. Sorry, my nose I think it's allergy. Okay, what time is it right now? I will probably be off very soon because my stitching is almost done. I will come back next week, next Friday, around the same time today. I started 1 hour ago, so in 9 p.m. Eastern time, I will start the live streaming with the guest talking about Japan tour next spring, May. It is the tour to Japan focusing on Sashiko. So the theme is Sashiko and Boro. And it's the kind of mixture of Japanese sightseeing as well as the Sashiko and Boro's perspective of learning. And before the COVID, I planned the Japan trip without those tour agency, but I just was kind of thinking to. It's not even tour for that matter. I just was thinking to bring my friends, Sashiko friends, to Japan, and many people try to join that. And I was planning perfectly until that COVID hit. I will probably offer the similar things, but that is not gonna be like a tour. I will just take you to where I go. I mean, I go to Sashiko places and I go to the natural dye stuff. When I go back to Japan, I will spend a lot of time with my mother while stitching. So you are gonna be you are gonna be welcome to that. So it's gonna be just Sashiko and not even textile, Sashiko and dyeing. So it's not a tour. It's just the package of workshop that's gonna probably happen sometimes in 2022. Then if I cannot, then 2023 I will make it happen. But at the same time, that will not have any tourist stuff. We don't go to Kyoto. We don't spend that much time in Tokyo. So if one is interested in Japan and sightseeing, spending a lot, like sometimes in the hot springs or eating some Japanese food or stuff like that, then probably the trip that I may organize in the future is not the best choice. And as a result, I decided to jump into this tour organized by Tampopo Journey Tour. So if you are interested interested to go to Japan and then focus on Sashiko, that's probably a good tour. That's the good tour to go. Because I am there. I'll be there. I'll be there working with you, stitching with you throughout the tour. In the hotel, in the transportation, everywhere. I'll be talking like this and I'll be stitching right next to you. The reason I said it probably is that I don't know yet. I have never done that. This is the first time, so I hope we are doing everything we can to make it better, but let's see. And I believe that's going to be great. Just the COVID is the key. It's so bummer.あら。へったくそやな。何やこの下手くそ。Sorry, I kind of cursed in Japanese. It's not that good at all. It wasn't good as I thought. I don't know what I was talking when I was doing that. That was a horrible rhythm. よっしょっと。It's not ideal, but that's gonna be. I think it's okay to share this. here, there, here. Okay. A little more. This pattern is called seigaiha or seikaiha, and it represents the ocean's wave. And it's one of my favorite patterns. I like these patterns. At the same time, I don't like stitching this pattern because of my childhood bad memories. And also it's kind of troublesome to draw the patterns without proper tool, which I'm supposed to use the proper tool, but I don't, because this is not something I am doing for somebody. Where is my needle? Oh, there we go. But it's a good pattern to practice. And in fact, this is probably one of the most popular patterns, not most, one of the popular patterns people use in their Sashiko project. I think there are a lot of kit to do this pattern. There's nothing wrong with this pattern, but in some places, not everywhere, especially my place, my local area, this means the ocean's wave, and flipping it is not okay. It's a bad luck. So this is if you're looking at this screen, this is the top, right? This is the top, and then this is the ocean's wave, like this. And it represents the kind of calm wave instead of the rough wave. And the Japanese ocean's wave can be pretty rough. And some people kind of use this pattern this way because it looks good, probably, for them. It looks like the fishes. I forgot the word. The fish thing. If we look at as the art, there's nothing wrong with using the pattern like this. But in some places, some cases, some stories in Japan, this could be the bad luck, and some people don't like it, and it could hurt. Not like, not always, not everyone, but it could be painful for somebody. So be careful. No. So you didn't know it. They didn't know it. That's perfectly fine. Nobody explained that. But saying I don't care, I'll do whatever I want, to that information is a little bit of too much cultural ignorance or indifference. So you've heard that, so you try to, if there's any specific purpose that you flip the ocean's wave, I think it's okay. If you can explain that, this is the orthodox, this is the standard way to look at, but because of because that I want to question to this pattern or this messages, then that's why I flipped it, is a kind of, it's a good story to communicate to the story. But flipping it just because it looks good is a little bit, not a little bit, it's scary, because it leaves no cultural stories behind it. Makes sense? I think it makes sense, right? So each pattern has each The difficult part of that is each pattern has each meaning in each places. It's not universal, not even in Japan. So sometimes it differ from places to place, community to community, and it's like more like family recipe for that. So that's why I keep saying that there's no such a thing as a wrong Sashiko, right Sashiko, because saying that definitive word can hurt somebody that I don't know. So we have to be just mindful, we have to be just careful. If you don't know it, be careful more. I mean, not knowing is okay. I keep saying this from I don't know it is perfectly okay. I didn't know is also okay too, because there's no information. So how do you know? How do you know it if there's no information available in the language you understand? Of course, you know, that's not their fault. But once they know it, once they learn it, ignoring that or minimizing that is a little bit of... I think that's the only issue that I'm trying to fight back. I think. It's difficult to verbalize it, but that's pretty much what I'm trying to fight back. Yeah, I might write something very surprising soon. I've been thinking about a lot of things lately, and I don't even know what Sashiko is. That's the whole. That is the whole point of this account. I don't know. I just don't. I know what I know, but I know that I don't know the whole neither. So I'm trying to explain the whole story of the Sashiko I know, but I keep saying that that's the only beginning. I do not know that. I do not know that the whole picture even exists for that. How did you begin, Sashiko? Who were your first teachers? Well, I don't have any teachers for that. Everybody was my teacher. I don't have the teacher, but everybody was my teacher, and I was born in the Sashiko family, so I probably looked at Sashiko before I looked at my family's face. Not my father's face, at least. So I probably looked at my mother's face, and then I looked at Sashiko. So how did I learn that? I don't know. I can't do it. It's just my curse. Did I want to do it? Did not. I absolutely did not want to do it. Like it's like same question. Like, how did you learn when did you learn how to walk or run? Who is your teacher? Probably my mother. So I started teaching Sashiko in 2017 or 16. Of course, I had some workshop before that, but officially I started teaching in that age, and I did not know what I'm sorry, I did not know what they did not know. I thought everybody can do this. I literally thought that everybody, like by the time that we did not talk about this stitching among my friends. So I really did not know that they or people don't know how to use those thimble or stitching until very recently. So like stitching itself, probably Sashiko itself is a little different, but I could not believe that there are people who could not thread the needle. I'm not judging them. I have a lot of things I cannot do. Like a lot. Tons of things I cannot do. I cannot do skateboard. I cannot do I'm horrible at probably any athletic things. I can weightlift though. Anyway, so those are things that, you don't know until you know it. So for the Sashiko, I don't have that moment that mindfully decided to be the Sashiko artisans. I don't have that moment. There are tons of moments I mindfully decided to not to be the Sashiko artisan, but that's a different story. So. And I'm not good, by the way. I'm not good at Sashiko. Knowing how to run doesn't mean that I'm a good runner. So knowing how to stitch doesn't mean that I'm a good stitcher. There are a lot of people who can stitch more, so better. Sorry. It makes me kind of sad. That's not an easy childhood. But, I don't want to deny my childhood too, so. So I offer the Sashiko Sashiko Live Streaming as often as I can. All the plan for the 2021 in terms of in-person workshop is completed. I may have one or two in the future for the small workshop in person, but pretty much main schedule is completed until the end of December. Since my wife's work is gonna get busier toward the end of the year, I try to not to put so much stuff in October, November, December. So I probably have more time to do the live streaming. And if you have any topics, I will keep the archives on this on the YouTube. And if you're watching this on the YouTube as archive, or even if you're watching it right now, if you have a request in the topic to talk about in Sashiko, please let me know. Those questions how to stitch are already answered on the YouTube, and I don't want to repeat it so many times. So please check the YouTube channel, or if you need a personal attention, I can help you in the online class. I am pretty confident that our online class is doing a good job. I will be there. I will be there until you can stitch like me right now. Well, probably better than me, for that matter. It's not that difficult. It's not really difficult. It's just the same as riding a bike or even running. And running does make sense when I tell that analogy. What was I gonna say? Yes, so I will come back. So if you have any other topics for me to talk about Sashiko, within Sashiko. Like what is Sashiko is a little bit of too vague, but at the same time it's not that I want to be mean to not to answer it. It's just I don't know. I have a basic definition to move discussion forward, but at the same time I'm still learning as well. So the story is probably most important to share in this culture, because we have so many different background or common sense to communicate. Another analogy is that when you go to Japan, when your Japanese friend invited you to their house, you must take your shoes off unless the host specifically tell you that it's okay to not to, or it's okay to keep it. Otherwise, it's 100% expected that you take off your shoes. It's very rude, and it's not okay to not to take off shoes. And for us, there are reasons why we take off shoes. At the same time, there's no reasons to explain. Like, we don't understand the reason to explain that to you. So I need to know that what I can explain. What is the largest pieces you have completed, and have you gifted anything to your wife? My wife? She doesn't really... Well, I stitch her denim. She's not that interested in what I do. Neither my daughter, so the question is it's kind of sad to say it, but the question is, what is the largest piece I've ever completed? And have I gifted anything to my wife? Gift, Sashiko's gift, right? Not like the rings or something, the jewelry, right? It's, in terms of Sashiko, I think I stitched something on her denim, and I probably mended some of those, but not specifically a gift. Largest, 2 meter by 3 meter might be the largest so far. At the same time, no, maybe little. Oh, no, there are bigger one. 5 meter, and what was that? 20, 30分. It's a long one, probably 5 meter and then a meter width. I don't remember exact, but in the US, that was in Japan. In the US, I'm making the carton, which is the size of 2 meter and 1.5 meter whole stitching. I have it somewhere. I can show it now. It's not done yet. I am ongoing that. I did it in the 24 hours of live streaming. That's probably the largest piece, if I talk about the piece. At the same time, I'm working on the Asanoha pattern project right now to communicate that the process is more important. And I plan to make the 100 meter of those stitching. Yeah, 100 meter of Asanoha pattern stitched, and of course, I will connect those and then I will display that on the ground, and then talk about the process is more important than what I'm doing for. No, what I'm doing itself is more important for me than what I can make as the result. And I hope that's going to explain that. So yeah, I'm trying to be a little bit crazy for this. So this is the Asanoha patterns I was doing. This is completed. This is my sixth one. Yeah? No. Ali? Where was the others? Wait, I have tons of those, and I'm gonna connect this one like this to the 100 meter, 100 meter, and then let's see how it's gonna go after that. Ali? I have a lot of things on the way, but I think I put it somewhere. But yeah, so this one was just a little bit of gift for my sort of new friend. I will send it to her that. And this was what I was stitching today. We call it Seigai-ha, and this is the size. This is the view. Don't flip it like this without any purpose. Don't flip it much. And since there was a question, right before I finish it, I will show you. Since I have it here. So this is probably the largest piece I have done in the US after I moved to the US. So I don't know if it's gonna I don't know. I don't think it's gonna fit to the camera. But from here to here is about 1.5 meters, I believe. Yeah, I don't think it is 2 meters. I believe that was 1.5 meters. And then the height is from here to one. Oh my. Sorry, I will. There's photo somewhere on my Instagram account. So the height is about 2 meters because this is the curtain. This is the partition from the cold basement to my room in the basement. So it's the curtain or partition for that. And we have to stitch before we do because it's more thick, more durable. Okay, since I have a little bit more time, I will do one more stitching and then that's it. I'll do one more round and then that's it. ありがとうございました。すいません、ずっと今日日本語で恐縮です。日本語ばっかりでした。じゃあ日本語ばっかりじゃなくて英語ばっかりでした。申し訳なかったです。またね、日本語でも配信をしたいと思うので、配信できる機会は増えてくると思うので、よろしかったら。来週もう一回だけ英語でお話しすることにはなると思うんですけど、それ以降はまた日本語でもお話ができたらなと思うのでよろしくお願いします。So this is the problem, Sashiko. One more line, one more stitching, one more thread, one more pattern, one more, and then it's gonna be in the morning. So I was about to finish. I was ready to finish by finishing that pattern, but I feel like a little bit of, how can I say, not satisfied 100%. So ありがとうございます、のぞみくさん。もう一本だけお付き合いください。ちょっと名残を正解派で終わりたくなかったんです。ごめんなさい。正解派嫌いじゃないんですけど、好きな柄なんですけど、どうもね、消化不良を起こすんですよね。しかもちょっとなんていうの、亜種っていうっけ、王道の正解派ではなかったので、ちょっとねストレスが溜まってますね。I think I'm getting better in speaking in English, but My goal is to be like one of those stand-up comedians. They are genius. I love it so much. Well, I mean, it's not my intention to hurt somebody, so I don't want to make those black jokes. But at the same time, I strongly believe that we can all go through difficult life when we have a warm food and a little bit of laughing. I keep saying that everywhere in Japanese and probably have said that in English a lot of times. But stitching itself is great, but it's not that necessary to life. For me, it's a great way to talk to myself. But at the same time, if I have to choose two things in the life that we have to have, it is warm food, not the cold food. Warm is important. It doesn't have to be tasty or much. Warm food. Of course, ideally, it's tasty the better. More tasty the better, but warm food and a little bit of laughing. And then I respect sincerely those who can make anybody laugh. So that's my whole goal in the live streaming last 3 years in Japanese. I did my best, and I realize I'm not that talented for that. I'm still trying. I would like to try more, but somewhat when I feel comfortable in my English, I would like to try that. The humor. But at the same time, I do not want to make any humor or joke which may hurt somebody. I know it's very challenging. It's almost impossible, but that's because that but some people are not happy with my stories on the Instagram because I say something uncomfortable to them. And their reaction is that be happy to me. They keep saying that you should be happy. Don't worry about those negative. Like, don't be negative. I'm not being negative. I'm just being honest. But they try to minimize that. That's kind of the fake happiness is not something I would like to make. So if somebody might get pain by me making somebody laugh, then that's not something I would like to do. But I would like to make not a joke, but it's humor. It's extremely difficult, but let's see what I can do. Oh, めんどくせえこれもう。Oh, I'm getting sleepy. That's good. I'm getting sleepy. That's good. So after this thread, I will finish it. Getting sleepy means that I can go to sleep. That's good without worrying about stitching and stuff like that. So that's good. And then I will stop doing it. After this much thread, I do not like leaving thread for tomorrow. So I will just complete everything here. So again, like if you have any question, if you have a request for me to talk about, please leave the comment. For the next session, I will do that. I will try my best to follow that. If you have questions about Sashiko, most likely your questions are already answered on my website. So if you Google it with my name can be found on my account, you probably get that answer. Like for example, what is the best thread, what is the best fabric for Sashiko, and then type my name, you probably find the link or YouTube link for that. So if you have any questions about Sashiko, then please try to find it. It's really easy to find it. 4 years ago, there were not the Google algorithm couldn't find me, but now, as long as you put my name on it, they can find it. So that's a very good way to find the answer. Not the answer, my reply for that. What else? So this live streaming, I talk about Sashiko as the story, not some lecture or webinar or teaching. So if you have any stories request, I'm happy to consider that for the next topic. Oopsie. I said that I'm not gonna be quiet for more than a few minutes, but when I'm sleepy, I will probably be quiet. So it's not audio issues. I had audio issues in the end of last live streaming. So if you do not hear my voice now, it's because I'm not talking. I am. It's there. My sleepiness is right there. So. Alright, I will stop after one more line. I thank you so much for watching the live streaming. I will see you sometimes next week. And I will have the web discussion about the Japan tour that I will be joining next May 2022. And that's going to be the discussion about it next week, next Friday. I hope you can join that. I will do the Japanese live streaming here and there in English as well. ありがとうございました。長い間、全部、ほぼほぼ英語で申し訳なかったです。日本語もなんとかまた戻ってこようとは思うんですけど、今日はめちゃくちゃ眠たいので、ここら辺で一回終わろうと思います。最近日本語で配信できてなくて本当申し訳ないです。でもまた頑張りつつ、年末年始に向けて配信もしていけたらいいかなと思っています。それでは皆さんありがとうございました。良い週末をお迎えください。Thank you so much for watching and have a nice weekend. Bye bye.